During this certification course, we'll talk about why a bonded fiber matrix is different from regular mulch, how we market it to compete with rolled erosion control products, how to use the topographical index chart and when, how to prepare a site assessment form, and how to mix and apply your first load of SoilGuard. After completion of this course and your first load of SoilGuard has been applied to your machine, you'll receive 2 training certificates. A large certificate suitable for framing and display at your place of business, and a smaller wallet-sized certificate. You should carry it to all jobs because you may be asked to show it by an agency inspector on any job site. MAT Incorporated and its distributor network supports our certified applicators by being there for your first application of SoilGuard and for any other project of high visibility you request. Please ask for assistance and a MAT Incorporated representative or your distributor will be on the site. MAT Incorporated exhibits at many major trade shows in the United States. We market primarily to specifiers and engineers in order to get the product on new projects. MAT Incorporated distributors will provide literature and marketing packages to you at no extra cost. What is a bonded fiber matrix? SoilGuard is a bonded fiber matrix erosion control system that provides blanket-like protection with dramatic savings in time and labor. The hydraulic application needs no special site preparation and conforms to almost any soil surface. Bonded fiber matrix is an erosion control system where fibrous materials are cross-linked together with an adhesive to create a continuous 3-dimensional erosion control blanket which adheres to the soil surface. The adhesive is a vegetable-based product called guar gum. SoilGuard is made from wood fibers that are manufactured longer and somewhat coarser than regular mulch for hydroseeding. The binding agents in SoilGuard are natural minerals, causing the product to cross-link together. These natural minerals are some of the same components used to make fertilizer, but are not a replacement for fertilizer. You should mix fertilizer as you usually would for each site. Once dry, the matrix becomes water insoluble for maximum protection and effective germination. After drying, it can withstand substantial rainfall, high winds, and stay in place until vegetation is established. Look at your demonstration sample. It represents a spraying rate of 3,000 to 4,000 pounds per acre. This is what we would normally suggest for an application. Please hold it up to the light and observe the small holes. The holes are small enough to dissipate heavy rainfall, preventing displacement of seed and soil, but are large enough to allow moisture to travel through and vegetation to grow through with ease. On the ground, the product retains moisture from the air and remains relatively soft while holding seed and soil in place. In arid climates with no irrigation, SoilGuard may remain hard, but will last until vegetation is established. SoilGuard is not intended for the prevention of landslides on slopes that display deep-seated instabilities or that are subject to surfacing peeling or frost heave, extended or permanent erosion control in non-vegetative applications, as a channel liner or in areas where poor design concentrates overland water flow. While SoilGuard may initially cost more than some blankets or Class 5 mulches, it's important to remember the features and benefits which deliver superior performance and dramatic savings in time and labor. The benefits of bonded fiber matrix are: SoilGuard can be used for the temporary or permanent establishment of vegetation, meeting most short to medium longevity requirements. Hydraulically applied bonded fiber matrix conforms to the soil, protecting virtually all soil types. SoilGuard is rated for use on slopes up to 1:1. Spray-on blanket light protection eliminates the under-rilling commonly seen in rollout style blankets. Better soil protection means less sediment loss. Hydraulic mulches require less ground preparations than rollout systems and less labor than with sod or blanket applications, resulting in greater cost savings in time and labor. It's not uncommon for a 3-man crew to complete more than 3 acres per day with larger machinery. SoilGuard can be applied as a 1 or 2-step erosion control system, giving the applicator flexibility when undertaking unusual applications or when an extra measure of protection is desired. Within the matrix are air pockets allowing sunlight and water to filter through to the ground below, creating the perfect microclimate. Better water management is achieved through the absorption of rainfall. This reduces the volume of water runoff and sediment loss. Experienced and trained applicators supported by MAT Incorporated and its distributors ensure a quality application for dependable performance. A one-bag system simplifies specifications and allows for easy transportation, handling, and mixing. It reduces inventory needs since every bag is a complete and measured unit. It ensures consistent mixes, load after load. SoilGuard is 100% environmentally friendly and beneficial. As it degrades, it enriches by returning nutrients to the soil naturally. Because it's maintenance-free, there are no stakes to retrieve, and it's safe for wildlife and workers. All certified applicators shall have possession of hydraulic mulching equipment that's regularly maintained and in good working order. Acceptable models are machines that are equipped with mechanical agitation and a sufficient pump. Here are the required features and accessories. A mechanical paddle or agitator. A pump disconnect clutch or other mechanism to operate agitators separate from the pump while mixing. A recirculation control valve to control the amount of flow recirculating back into the tank. All equipment shall be able to pass OSHA inspection and certification. A minimum of 100 feet of high-pressure hose, couplings, and extra washers. An assortment of spray nozzles with straight 50-degree fan and 15-degree fan minimum. Adequate safety equipment, including dust masks, safety glasses, safety vests, and hard hats. A measuring tape or wheel, marking flags, stakes or paint, calculator, miscellaneous hand tools including shovel, pipe, wrench, and screwdriver. And we also recommend an air bleeder valve on discharge side of the pump, reversible agitation, and a hose reel for trouble-free application. Instructions for mixing and application. Startup procedure. For pre-mixing, purge the pump, pipe boom, and hose with clear water. Consult the chart to determine the number of SoilGuard bags required to cover job site or to mix the determined volume. Position the required number of bags on top of the hydraulic seating machine and prepare for loading by opening the bag ends. Fill the machine with sufficient water, level with the main agitator shaft. Start mixing agitators and regulate throttle throughout the loading process to achieve moderate agitation. Do not engage recirculation systems. Load SoilGuard through the loading hatch. Start application, moving the paddles to break up any lumps. Mix SoilGuard at a ratio of 1 50-pound bag to 100 gallons of water. Each bag contains a water-soluble packet of activator that requires no handling. Simply let the packet fall into the tank during loading. Add seed and fertilizer during this step. Continue adding water to correct depth for number of bags and agitate at moderate throttle. After correct water depth has been reached, advance the throttle to full and vigorously agitate. Return to moderate when all floaters have disappeared. Agitate slurry on moderate throttle for a minimum of 15 minutes after loading to allow for thickening. Near freezing water temperatures will require more mixing time. Perform the free liquid test to ensure suitability of slurry for application. Apply slurry from 2 opposing angles in even layers, working back and forth for uniform coverage of soil. For best results, fit hose or cannon with a fan or slit-type nozzle to create a gentle and finely dispersed spray that rains down on the soil. The purpose of the Topographic Index Guide is to provide designers and contractors a more accurate means of estimating factors that can increase the amount of soil guard needed for appropriate and effective coverage. Let's take a look at the table. The left side of the guide shows the adjustment for slope rows. They range from 5:1 or flatter at the top to a slope of 1:1 at the bottom. Column headings at the top of the guide show topographical factors. These topographical factors describe an array of different soil types and surface textures, ranging from the smooth-textured standard loam on the left to the rough-textured sheep's foot roller surface on the right. Under each topographic heading is a table of boxes. Each contains a number in parentheses and a larger number after a pound sign. The number in parentheses indicates the percent of increased soil guard required for appropriate and effective coverage. This percentage factors the differences in coverage due to slope gradients, soil types, soil textures, and the resultant increase in surface area. The larger number indicates the estimated total pounds per acre of soil guard needed to achieve appropriate and effective coverage. Some adjustments have been made in the estimates based on actual field trials and are rounded to the nearest 50-pound bag. Using the Topographical Index Guide is a simple 3-step process. Estimate the slope of the area to be treated and find the appropriate adjustment for slope box on the left side of the table. Then pick the topographic factor column heading, which best describes the soil and surface texture of the area to be treated. Find where the adjustment for slope row intercepts the topographic factor column. It's here you will find the percentage increase in surface area in parentheses and the total pounds per acre of soil guard required for appropriate and effective coverage. Let's look at an example. Notice on a 5:1 slope of standard loam, a 3,000 pound per acre application is appropriate and effective coverage. However, if that same 5:1 slope has been track walked, the surface area increases by 20%, requiring an additional 600 pounds per acre, or 3,600 pounds total of soil guard to achieve appropriate and effective coverage. Notice when we move down the table, as the slope increases, so does the amount of soil guard needed for appropriate and effective coverage. Measurements for slope must be based on the actual field measurements. Engineer drawings and actual field measurements will differ. As can be seen in the table, both the slope and the differences in topographic factors have an effect on the amount of soil guard needed for appropriate and effective coverage. In addition, the effects of both conditions are cumulative. By practicing with this table, you'll quickly gain proficiency in making the appropriate adjustments and calculations when submitting bids or estimating coverage. The free liquid test. The free liquid test is a quality control measure that ensures proper mixing and easy application of soil guard. The slump board has rings that are 1 inch apart. A cup has been included. For safety, turn the agitator off, then fill the cup with slurry from the machine tank. Put the bullseye over the cup and flip it over. Now, hold the board flat and wait 1 minute. Do not put the board on the deck of the machine, or else vibrations may cause a misreading. After 1 minute, observe the board. free liquid may be seen flowing away, forming a ring around the fibrous mass in the center of the board. In order to pass the free liquid test, the free liquid must flow less than 1 inch in 1 minute. If the free liquid travels more than 1 inch in 1 minute, the slurry has failed. There may be several reasons for this. First, check that the slurry has mixed for the required 15 minutes. Note, near freezing water temperatures will require more mixing time. If not, continue mixing and repeat the free liquid test. Second, count your empty bags to make sure you've loaded the proper amount of SoilGuard. If not, add the needed amount, mix, and repeat the free liquid test. If you're certain there is enough SoilGuard in the tank, turn off the agitator and check for large clumps. Check the corner areas of the tank. Almost every machine has a dead spot where materials tend to hang up. If you see any, dislodge clumps and turn the agitation on at full speed until they're dispersed. Then repeat the free liquid test. Here's an example of a good slump test. With a good slump test, you'll be able to apply SoilGuard easier. It will adhere to even the steepest slopes and lay down consistently. Proper use of personal protective products is always important. All operators must wear dust masks, eye protection, and hard hats in designated areas. Only 3 people at a time should be on the truck or machine during hydroseeding operations. A grate for the agitator hatch must be closed before dumping product into tank for mixing. Choose shoes or boots which do not have slippery surfaces. All spills are to be cleaned from standing areas immediately to avoid injury. The guar gum makes SoilGuard extremely slippery when wet. All hoses, nozzles, and accessories must be checked for defects prior to use. Let's apply the first load. You'll need a fan nozzle. Choose the one that you'll like the best for spraying lawn work. For ease of application, it's recommended to use the hose attachment and not the tower for your first load of SoilGuard bonded fiber matrix. This will allow you to know the product and how it's different from other hydraulic planting mulches. When applying SoilGuard, you'll need to achieve 100% total ground coverage. The best way to do this without applying your first layer too heavily is to rain the SoilGuard onto the ground in light and even layers to avoid shadowing or unprotected areas. Apply SoilGuard from at least 2 different directions. Remember, you're applying an erosion control system comparable to an erosion control blanket. 100% coverage is key. You can visually tell if you have achieved 100% coverage, if there's no soil showing, and if the product forms dimples, much like the surface of a golf ball. Like an erosion control blanket, SoilGuard should be applied over the top of the berm. Capping the top of the slope will prevent water shear from damaging the leading edge of the application area. When possible, tie the SoilGuard into any existing vegetation. If you have applied SoilGuard at a rate heavier than specified, it will begin to slide because of its weight. If that happens, you'll need to return to the site after it's had time to dry and then reapply the product to these areas. When shooting from your tower, it's still recommended that you use a fan nozzle and apply in lifts to rain the product down. If the situation calls for a distance nozzle, avoid spraying directly onto a steep area. Continue to rain the product onto the soil surfaces. You've already seen from the topographic index guide the effect different soil types have on calculating coverage. Here are some techniques to help you recognize these different soil types. Some conditions require a few extra steps. Sand and high silt soils are very dry and will peel and fall due to the weight of the SoilGuard. If you experience this or you think you will, we recommend you first apply a very light layer of SoilGuard at a rate of approximately 1,000 pounds per acre of product. Allow this area to dry slightly as you work other areas. The partially treated soil will now be able to hold the SoilGuard as you finish the application. Clay soils can also be challenging. Sometimes SoilGuard will slip, much like on sand. A smooth clay slope is the most difficult. Again, it's recommended a very light layer of Soil Guard be applied. Let it dry completely. Depending on weather conditions, this will probably take an hour or two. Then, return to the site and apply the proper application. Remember to layer Soil Guard by shooting in at least 2 different directions to achieve 100% ground coverage. After completing your application, thoroughly clean all equipment and hoses. Do not let Soil Guard set overnight or for extended periods of non-use. Soil Guard's curing process is very simple. It depends solely on using the natural element of the sun and wind to dry the water used in the application process. Soil Guard must first dry in order to perform like an erosion control blanket. Never apply Soil Guard to waterlogged or saturated soil. MAT Incorporated recommends that 24 hours of dry weather follow the application. Soil Guard applied at 3,000 pounds per acre will dry under favorable conditions in less than 24 hours. Observations have shown that Soil Guard may completely dry within 2 to 4 hours. In estimating ideal conditions, many factors may have an impact on drying time, such as wind, sun intensity, humidity, slope orientation, and pre-existing soil conditions. If you're unable to schedule a Soil Guard shoot due to a possible rain event, it's okay to spray at a rate of 1,000 pounds per acre and return to the site when conditions are favorable for 100% coverage. This technique allows crews to keep busy during periods of marginal weather without risking the whole application. Soil Guard can be very effectively built up in layers without compromising the final product quality or performance. You'll soon be covering new ground with the most innovative erosion control system the industry has ever seen. Your skills and experience as a hydraulic mulch applicator will help you consolidate these new techniques and help you succeed as a Soil Guard certified applicator. A few rules will help you organize your approach to learning these new techniques and speed you on your way to success. Rule number 1. Remember, with Soil Guard, you're building an erosion control system on site. The minimum required application rate is 3,000 pounds per acre, which is much heavier than ordinary mulches. Soil Guard covers most soils with as little as 1,000 pounds per acre, but you'll need to apply a full recommended measure in order to achieve a blanket of the required thickness. Anything thinner will not provide the protection necessary to ensure proper erosion control and plant germination. Rule number 2, measure everything. Soil Guard is dependent on achieving the proper water-to-product ratio. Exactly 100 gallons of water is required for every 50-pound bag to yield 108 gallons of Soil Guard mix. The job site area should be carefully measured as well. It's best to mark off the job site area that will be covered by 1 full tank load to be sure you have applied the requisite amount of product. It's also vitally important you conduct the free water test on every tank load to ensure that proper mixing has occurred. Rule number 3, watch the weather. Soil Guard must dry completely to be effective. Soil Guard turns a light yellow color as it dries. Do not apply to soaked or wet soils. Do not apply if rain is expected within 24 hours. Rule number 4, use only full bags. Each bag of Soil Guard is self-contained and already includes all the ingredients necessary to build the finest erosion control system available. You may notice plastic packets of white powder between layers of each bag of Soil Guard. These packets contain the activator that creates Soil Guard's bonding effect. These packets are composed of polyvinyl acetate and will dissolve soon after contact with the water. Rule number 5, allow the guar gum and activator to set up properly. Be sure to follow the precise mixing instructions and times. MAT Incorporated recommends a minimum of 15 minutes mixing time. Rule number 6, apply Soil Guard as it was designed to be applied. Soil Guard outperforms more expensive rollout erosion control when applied correctly. It enables you and your company to win jobs from high-cost competition. MAD Incorporated limits SoilGuard's use to certified applicators to ensure consistent quality applications. Any variation from recommended procedures will affect product performance and product reputation. Rule number 7. Communicate. Keep your employer, your SoilGuard distributor, and MAD Incorporated advised of customer feedback, both positive and negative. We also want to know how the product performs with your machinery, its performance on the job, and the quality of the product. Your input is extremely important.